So the difference between how much snow you get and El Niños, La Niñas, it's not that, simple as El Nino years get more snow, and La Nina year or El Nino years could get more or less snow. It's very inconsistent. You could have a El Nino year that you get a lot of snow, like 2002, 2003. Like January 2003, we had a lot of snow, and that was a strong El Nino, a moderate El Nino. And you could have a 91, 92, which is a strong El Nino. 91, 92, New York City got about 12 inches of snow. That was a strong El Nino year that didn't end up too much. 90, 91, or January 1991, that was a weak El Nino. So if you recall how snowy January 2014 was, 14, 15, you were having a weak El Nino, and then it went into a neutral phase very briefly, and then just suddenly just went bonkers. So went into briefly a weak phase. 2009, 2010, New York City got a fair amount of snow. It wasn't too much, 51 inches. Actually, believe it or not, that winter, there was very little snow where I was in Boston. This December storm, Boston got about 2 feet, and I missed it. And then New York City got 3 feet, and I missed that. So I ended up getting about total, maybe about 25, 30 inches of snow for that whole winter. Yet Boston and New York got at least 50 to 60 inches. I kind of got the short end of the stick that winter. This winter, I kind of made up for it. Still not as much as I made, got, cut off this winter, but still, it was a pretty good year. I got about 70, 80 inches of snow for this winter because a lot of storms came to Boston. February was a pretty snowy year for Boston. Oh yeah, this year I don't even want to talk about 2011, 2012. 2012, 2013, I think we got 30 something, 26. Oh yeah, because this was not a 4.74, I actually got a foot in my neighborhood. That's 2012, 2013. That was, we're having a neutral La Nina type. So you have a big, you have a strong La Nina. You have a lot of La Nina between El Ninos. And January 2012, you're having a La Nina. So yeah, this La Nina is why New York City got. The real reason New York City got very little snow this winter was not because of the La Nina. It was because of the water off of the southeastern Alaska was very cool, and the waters off of Greenland were cool. It wasn't really because of the La Nina. However, I've been looking at the models recently. Are we going to get a big storm? That remains to be seen. However, it is very possible we could. But this is only one model I'm looking at. However, this is what seems to be a clipper system coming in through the Midwest, and then seems like it's gonna move out. But look what's going down here. Look at all this moisture forming off of North Carolina, and then as soon as it forms, the area of low pressure suddenly gets going, and you have a storm forming. But look how quickly it forms, and it just explodes. If you have this clipper system move a little bit further to the north and west and east, you'll have the storm probably going into Newfoundland. Instead of being here, it could be here. Or if this clipper system moves a little bit further to the south and west, you could have this storm, instead of being here, or like being somewhere around here, and you'll have the storm forming a little quicker. So instead of hooking in here, it may hook in here. But then look what's going to happen down the road. See that, right? Right here. And then boom. Well, it's a lot of precipitation suddenly. Well, of course, this is because it's in 12-hour increments, so it's probably pretty light precipitation. And yep, the polar vortex is coming down again, so basically you're just gonna have a lot of stormy weather. And yep, very negative NAO, a very negative Arctic oscillation with an El-Nino. Means a lot of rain and snow and just storminess on the East Coast. So you're gonna have an original West Coast, a big trough in the middle and eastern part of the country, and big storms, a lot of big storms. Because you have this big anomaly off of the East Coast right now. So you have this very strong anomaly right now off of the East Coast. It's even stronger than when it was at this time last year, when Boston, just got clobbered with snow. I mean, it's even stronger right now. It's January 2015. See that? The anomaly right now is even stronger than it was at this time last year. You see, it didn't look too strong. You had a strong anomaly, but it wasn't that strong. It was mostly concentrated in this little area right here, and the craziest it got, looks like maybe a 4, positive 4, but it was a thin sliver of it. But now, it looks much more intense, and it's a little further to the south now. It's extending right off of Cape Cod. You have it exactly how you want it to be for major storm to form. That's the Gulf Stream, but the reason it's so strong is mostly because we have all this melting polar ice that's disrupting it. So the Gulf Stream really has nowhere to go, so it just has all this warm water here. It just really just gets stuck here. You see all this cool water up here? You have a lot of cold water flowing back. That means if you get a big storm, you're going to have a lot of cold air on the backside because of all this cold water, that's right off the waters. If you have northeast winds in Boston, you're going to have cooler than normal water temperatures right now. However, at this time last year, as you recall, the water temperature is actually a little warmer, believe it or not. Or about the same. Yeah, they were also pretty cold. But the coldest was about here. It's about similar. Very similar. Yeah, very similar conditions to how they are right now. The only difference is this little sliver of warm right here and that little spike. But other than that, it's still cold. So a lot of cold waters here. So once a storm hits the anomaly, so you have a storm going northeastward towards, out to sea, the moment it hits the anomaly, it's just going to explode. So anomaly was really off of the mid-Atlantic at this time. Last year, I just want to go back and forth, so there's more better comparing and contrasting. Last year, it was a little further to the south. See how it just, and it hooks back to the north, and towards the middle of January, see, it's pretty thin. But still, it allowed for a storm, so you had a lot of warm waters here, but now it's going a little bit more here. So there's a little more warm water for the storms to form, so you might have some pretty powerful storms. But the way it is now is how it was in February. This is how basically it was in February. That's where you had some of the biggest storms. But also it was this reason, all this warm water off of Alaska, southeastern Alaska, for all these storms. The positive, the positive PNA caused that. But now you can see there's some cold waters forming here. So there are signs that pretty soon, next winter, you'll have a lot of cold waters here, but the waters here may be warm as well. There's some models that are hinting on that. So I think we're going to get a pretty snowy winter, especially for New England. I don't know for New York City, but there's a chance this winter could end up being, I would say, more snowy than it has been. January might end up being pretty snowy. January, February, March might be pretty snowy months for New York City this winter. Well, thank you for watching. Bye.